The ego is the system that runs your sense of self. It is made out of thought patterns, emotions, and behavioral loops, and the stories that try to hold it all together. Left unchecked, it creates endless existential searching, chronic disconnection, and the persistent sense that something is wrong. The goal of my videos is clarity, to see your identity and its contradictions for what they are, named precisely, to finally understand what it is that we're all running away from. I know that a strong argument against non-duality, the idea that everything is one, comes from a sort of Gnostic viewpoint. The idea that we are not actually one spirit moving through all of existence, but we are being separated from our true conscious self and now are forced to be in this material reality. And it's almost sort of trap that we have fallen into that we're supposed to get out of somehow. And I know a lot of people who are stuck in this mode of thinking have a very negative relationship to the reality of suffering. Like if everything is one and we are some sort of interconnected, aware system kind of choosing this existence, then how can there be so much suffering in this world? Why can there be a rabbit stuck in a trap and then slowly freezing to death? Why can there be children dying from cancer, or just a deer being stuck at a tree branch and then slowly suffocating to death? Or why are there spiders that eat their children when they're too hungry? Like, there are just endless amounts of examples where nature is so brutal that the nature of suffering seems like there must be a fundamental duality here. Like, if you feel the pain of burning your skin, then you really do not want to be the pain of the burn. And you see yourself as separate, like human, and the fire intruding in your own, consciousness or awareness. And this, for many, is like proof that reality cannot be one, especially not in the way that is often framed as reality being ultimate joy or ultimate oneness, or there's some being an abundant positive force that you can reside in and be peaceful in. That if you're truly in relationship to the pains of reality, then it is impossible to defend this non-dual connective idea. When you are looking at the harsh nature of existence, you cannot see in out of this dual nature and then conclude that reality must be some sort of trap and there must be a way out of this. And this is where this Gnostic idea of like dual frame comes from, that rejects non-duality. Because in the non-dual frame, this sense of disconnection is an illusion and everything is truly united and therefore one system feeding on itself. That through all the pain, death, and destruction, there's some underlying physical, mental unity that, for the lack of a better word, is deciding for all of this to be the case. And that this movement towards, entropy and disconnection or dissolution is just the ontological nature of unison, which, seems very contradicting. So how are you supposed to not resist the fact that you're going to experience pain in your life? How are you supposed to believe in the unity of all things when you're doomed to suffer, waste away, and disintegrate horribly at some point in your life? If you are a spirit that is trapped in the body, then it would make sense that, there's some sort of duality there that you need to escape from, and that you're basically trapped in this material world, but you're not supposed to be here. You're able to go somewhere else or, become one with God and then be free of all of this human suffering. So it is true that extreme pain is radically irreducible, right? If you're getting burned, you're going to experience the pain of the burn. It forces the distinction, resistance, and the survival mechanisms. You cannot negate it when you experience it. If reality were fundamentally good or loving or just full of abundance, then this kind of seems to falsify it, because in reality, if you're going to get burned, you're not experiencing this as joy, and you're also not experiencing this as abundance. It just feels intuitively wrong to frame things this way. And biologically speaking, if you are born as like a human body or an animal body, then you're constantly fighting against survival, right? You don't want to dissolve into death, and therefore there's this clear sense of duality there that seems quite obvious. There's like no clear forever calmness to be found or forever peace to be found that is supposed to be underlying all of this pain that is happening, or this terrible war and torture and mental illnesses and stuff that is happening, right? Like, where is supposed to be the metaphysical substrate of consciousness that is not identified with the stuff or kind of disconnected from the stuff. All of these are arguments or viewpoint that a lot of people use or experience themselves when they are first confronted with this idea of non-duality. Now, my argument is that everything that I just said is absolutely true. All of these arguments are not really arguments against non-duality. They are describing how existence is like, right? That's just how things are. Philosophical frameworks are used to cope with the nature of reality, but non-duality is not really a cope, and it's also not really a philosophical framework. It is not something with which you can distance yourself from what is true, and that's why these arguments all land very clearly. These points are actually proof that you cannot separate reality from yourself. You wish to not be burning alive, to not be the bunny or rabbit trapped and hurting, or to not be eaten by another insect. All of these experiences are real and they are unavoidable. The sense of empathy towards these experiences and this genuine care and this desire to not have this to be real actually shows you that a part of you sees yourself as one with these painful experiences. You understand that they are all a part of what reality is. So by pointing out these like distinctions of different flavors of pain, acknowledges the realness of all of them. And it's that realness that proves the oneness. It proves that there's not really a distinction between real and unreal. It all happens within reality. If reality were dual, like the Gnostics think about it, then there would be a way to escape from the pain. There would be a way for awareness to retreat in some sort of imaginary safe haven, but it cannot do so in some final separate way, because it is not separate. Only through the illusion of separation, by wanting to not be what is other or becoming a temporary form, you can temporarily do so. But it is always an illusion, as it is just a temporary separation that is connecting you with the whole. Psychological suffering is the ego's wish to be separate from the pain. But if reality is one self-contained system, it can't be. Love and joy are the consequence of unconditional acceptance. Joy is the freedom in allowing reality to experience even that severe amount of pain. The illusion of separation is the desire to distance yourself from the pain, but by doing so, you also distance yourself from the joy and the love. Reality is radically free, and this entire material world is what freedom looks like. It is such a radical concept that it is hard to conceive. But how would a being decide to be a rabbit trapped in a cage? The only way that you can actively decide to manifest yourself in this sort of very painful awareness is if whatever nature is like has no ultimate preference to be one thing over the other, but accepts everything without a clear condition. It's just raw being and exploratory energy with no fundamental conscience or sort of bias that it needs to enact. If you were to remove the ability for a rabbit being trapped in some sort of cage or like bleeding out or freezing to death, then you are removing so much flavor of what experience can be. You cannot have the love and the joy without the pain in some ultimate sense. The only way you have potential for both is if you have to include both in your reality system. If you reject the ability to experience pain, as like an odd example, every song that has ever been written by the human species that is about pain would have to cease to exist as well. Or every movie that includes the ability to have pain would also not exist. You're removing something so foundational the moment you don't accept one aspect of reality and say, this shouldn't be there. And this is what creates the Gnostic view of duality and separation. Because you are saying reality should be this, but not this. But it is just a denial. Reality clearly has the ability to be whatever it wants. This is the rock bottom of the non-dual experience. It is to see that everything is so intimately interconnected that there is truly no separation between the absolutely mesmerizing beautiful and the incredibly horrifying. You might also argue that whatever heaven or like bliss is like is the consequence of all the pain, or the price is all the pain that must be gone through in order to experience this sort of bliss. Like, it is, to take a religious example, it's like the ultimate sacrifice. It's like Jesus being nailed to the cross and being sacrificed as the Son in flesh, having to die one of the most horrible deaths in order to wash the sins away, which is symbolism for the sacrificial nature of having to endure immense amount of pain, even as being innocent, even as being the Son of God, in order for reality to be allowed to exist just the way it does. The ego's definition of freedom is always freedom from something. It wants freedom from pain, freedom from responsibility, freedom from anxiety, freedom from the limits of the body. And this is exactly what freedom on this cosmic level isn't. It has the ability to be so free that it can do or manifest as whatever experience it wants. So the ego thinks that freedom means finding just this quiet, separate, safe space where it can just indulge in its pleasurable fantasies for all of eternity and then kind of lock itself into this. But imagine the horror that this would actually imply. If reality could truly reject one side and not the other, then you actually give the potential for truly infinite suffering locked into one place with no way of escape, because you kind of eliminated the possibility of change. If it's not free, then you're locking yourself in a state of almost impossibility. It's a very desperate attempt to reject what reality is like. It's like being a child hiding underneath the blanket, pretending that the house isn't there. But a sober look at all of the pain that you see shows you that, the pain is real. So if you cannot escape reality because you are reality, then true freedom has to be the exact opposite of escaping. Radical freedom is absolute consent. It is the staggering capacity to look at the totality of existence, like, 20 years of depression, and to say, I'm allowing this to happen. This is what I'm doing. It is radical because it demands complete surrender of all ultimate defense mechanisms. And if you can embody this, you stop fighting the friction and you stop demanding to split reality into good and bad. And this way you can comfortably be yourself and don't have to reject one life or the other. You can empathize with everything equally, and you can accept that you can, kind of be multiple perspectives at the same time. You can be the butcher and the blade, and the screaming animal, and you allow all of this to be the case. Now, morality and ethical frameworks serve a real point. As an individuated self, you can look at the suffering that we humans are causing to each other and still say well-being is higher value than needless suffering. The freedom doesn't stop there. Like the freedom is also to diminish the capacity of suffering or to make the world a better place. Just because on the cosmic level, true freedom is the playing ground, we can still play by our own rules. And the world I want to live in is certainly not a dystopia. But the fact that we can build a dystopia if we keep going the way we are going, we know that we have the freedom to do so. If you want guidance for this level of deep acceptance with the nature of reality, then check the link in the description. I help people one-on-one through my ego architecture audit, where I design or analyze your sense of identity in order for you to be free of this resistance towards life. Looking deeply into the void and looking deeply into the freedom shows you how much power you actually carry. How this radical freedom is not just something the universe is doing or that the nature of existence is like. No, you are the embodiment of it. You are the thing that is unconditionally loved. This means that you can do with your life what you want to do with your life. There's no pre-written destiny. There's no dualistic spirit world. There's no ultimate way you're going to be judged for something. All of this happens within you, and there's no one to blame. There's no ultimate authority to appeal to when things get hard either. You are the architect of your own baseline, and this level of freedom is very heavy. It is difficult to understand that you are all of this. Like you have the ability to do all of this. And you can build your own prison of neurosis and addiction and resentment just to avoid the fact of feeling this. And we build all of these tiny little balls of suffering just so that we do not come in contact with our infinite power. The illusion of separation is just the desire to distance yourself from the pain. And it is clearly an illusion because it is not possible. You are the capacity for precisely that. And when you drop the illusion, you drop the distance. You become in direct contact with what the universe and existence and reality is like. And you become free to be the universe in your own self-expression. And this is the ultimate cosmic joke. You only achieve absolute freedom the exact moment you accept absolute inescapability. Only through oneness you can be free to be what you are.